the answer. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers, Sway.
Welcome to Web Domination, episode 48, I think. This is going to be a new format where we're both going to do it. Hopefully, do it live and do video as well if the recording stuff all works as planned. So, welcome and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Dan.
I must admit, I forgot to shave this morning. I'm not sure if you can tell, but
you're going to have to go like that.
Yeah, but I think this is going to be the last one because we're going to talk about goal setting today, but one of the themes is we've got to take ourselves a bit more seriously.
So I probably shouldn't have bought a beer along to this meeting.
Well, it's in the afternoon there, isn't it? So that's probably better if I did because it's like 10 o'clock in the morning here.
I brought some snacks too in case I get bored.
Oh, nice. Give us one of those.
Help yourself.
All right. So, yeah, let's talk about goal setting. We wanted to try to cover setting goals for the year, some of the ways we manage goals, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, and then talk about some of the processes we use, and maybe get some feedback from other people once we put this out to see how other people are going about it. But let's start with a fixed goals for 2014. Do we have any, or are we are we doing because we've got a monthly recurring revenue goal or monthly growth goal? Is that about the only fixed goal we have, or do we have actual numbers that we want to hit in 2014?
We've got I've pulled out a few specific numbers, and I think the one of the ones that's going to stretch us a little bit is the content creation goal that we've set. And I think, did you commit us to that, or did I? I can't remember.
Yeah, that might have been after a few beers. It was one article every single day, but I was reading that Chris Lima's guy's Twitter the other day, and he's written something like that many in 2013.
Yeah.
It was 300 or something crazy.
Yeah, he does a daily post.
Yeah, and John Dumas does a daily podcast, which means he's obviously going to put out at least 365 pieces of content in a year. So I think if we're organized and we might need, our content it can't really be structured the way something like Entrepreneur on Fire is. We can't just churn through 10 things in one day because most of our stuff is written and it's long content. But we've also got the podcast and we've got a bunch of other things we're planning. So I think we can probably do it. Did we work out we did about 250 last year?
Yeah, I think it was thereabouts, including guest posts and bits and pieces.
Yeah. So I guess that's a fixed goal. What else? We've got a revenue goal as well.
The one that we committed to in the Content Club was $250,000 annual recurring revenue run rate.
Yeah.
And that works out to $20,833 monthly recurring revenue.
Which is about double what we are now. A bit more than double.
Yeah.
Because when we came up with that goal, I think we were at about $100,000 annual run rate. So it seemed like a stretch goal. Now we're pretty close to $10,000 a month, so it's about double what we are now, which seems kind of reasonable.
I think so. We put up, what did we do? Just over $9,000 in 6 months, and that was starting pretty much from scratch, except for we had $476 coming through from Informally when we started working together.
Yeah.
And considering the time that we spent on a few dead ends, things like one-off fixes, trying to sell to agencies, and only having one service, I think it's realistic to say that by the end of this year we can be doing 250K.
I think we're going to have to also be a bit better at focusing because, we also brought out a bunch of new things. And someone asked me the other day, would we been better off just not doing anything new at all and just sticking with WP Curve? And I'm like, well, I can't really respond to that because I don't think I would ever do that because it's not fun. But we probably would be better doing less. So we got to be careful with that.
Yeah, I think consolidation might be a bit of a theme for this year. We've got some ideas around doing some rebranding, and that's actually something that I've started talking about in our monthly report that will be coming out. We've got a couple of ideas of what we can name this podcast.
Yeah.
but we don't really have any good ones yet.
No, I was going to say we've got lots of ideas. They're all shit. Yeah. Well, I think.
Hey, I like Journey to 1 million. Journey to 1 million sounded good, right?
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's probably not too bad. Yeah, because I think what's happened is we're like creating a lot of content around our passion, some of which is not that relevant to any of our businesses. So we have like developing a bit of an audience around our site, the dannorris.com, which is a bit of a silly name for a site when it's like both of us writing. You probably write on there more than I do. But
well, I think I've got authorship. I've got the authorship right.
You Google my name and your face shows up, which is probably good for like click-throughs and stuff, but it's not good for me. But yeah, and we got really no way of making money from that audience other than like hoping that they can help us spread the word and I mean if they use WordPress, obviously we can help them. But so I think we need like a bit more of an organized channel for that. So I guess that's one of the themes for this year. So yeah, I mean, fixed goals. So I guess content every day and $250,000 in recurring revenue.
I have one stretch goal.
Go on then.
And it's actually for you. I'd like to meet you face to face. So I think getting you out to the US would probably be a good stretch goal by the end.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah, I was hoping to do that sometime this year. And you can't leave the US, can you?
I don't know when I'll be able to leave, so it's probably better to plan based on you coming over here or us meeting somewhere in between.
Well, I've read about all the beer, so I mean it's not going to take that much to get me there. So the other thing we do in our business, which I think it seems to work well, which is to have like monthly goals that change. So we had like towards the end of last year, we had a goal to get to 100 customers by the end of 2013, and that seemed like a pretty ambitious goal at the time because I think we were only at about 50 with like 3 months to go. But we ended up getting 180, 177 or something. So like that goal became pretty obsolete. So we replaced it with a 10 grand a month goal, which we didn't end up hitting. But I think like on a day-to-day basis, that kind of helped us. You know, every time we got a customer, we'd be fire up, we'd be a little bit close to that goal, and we'd talk about it, and it probably kept us a bit more motivated.
Yeah, I think one of the things that helped to keep us motivated was the fact that it wasn't this like audacious goal that was completely unachievable. And I think a lot of people probably set their targets and this is the perfect time to talk about it because it's the new year. But people say, hey, you know, in the new year, I'm going to lose 15 kilos. I'm going to save $100,000. I'm going to, you know, travel to 10 countries and things like this. But like realistically, you have to say, hey, I can change my eating habits or go to the gym 3 times a week because it's just you put so much pressure on yourself and you miss, you know, a workout or you have a bad day of eating and you completely lose momentum. So I love small goals. Yeah, well, that's feel like a champion when you hit them as well. Yeah,
and well, the other thing is like what you're talking about there is not necessarily goals. It's just setting up a process, and we're sort of trying to work out how to do that with, like, if we're gonna release one piece of content every day, it means we need to save time on our day-to-day business stuff, so we need to make all that a lot more efficient. And we're trying to work out how to do that with Trello and with various Zaps and stuff to kind of automate things a little bit more. But the content as well, like if we're going to do one piece of content a day, we're going to need to do a whole bunch of stuff different. So one thing we're trying to do with this is have a weekly podcast at a specific time, do it every single week. And that's one piece of content per week, which leaves only 6 more.
Nice try.
Yeah. But I think like the fact that we've got a calendar in there reminding us of that. We'll have a set process for it. We'll have the software to do the recording. Hopefully we'll have like the ability to get guests on, and there won't be too much friction there to make all that happen because it's going to happen at a certain time. And maybe we need more than that. Maybe we need like a VA or something to come in and do like a lot of the back end stuff after we finish our content and something. But we need lots of processes to make that happen, not just saying we're going to do one piece of content a day.
Yeah. and also not, I guess, doing it, but doing it the right way. So we want to make sure the content is high quality, and we also want to make sure that our business doesn't suffer.
Yeah.
And I think having some processes around that is quite important. Like, I'm the first guy to blame Trello or something like that, and I'll be like, hey, let's think about a new help desk. But the reality is the process is what's going to drive the outcome, rather than like having 100 different apps to try and do the work for us. So
Yeah. Well, it's a good point about the content, because I was thinking about that and how like Seth Godin will write something on his blog every day, and it'll be something small, and like I don't know, like I see like sometimes it'll be flashes of brilliance, but other times it will just be content for the sake of writing something, which is cool, but that's not really the style of what we do. Like when I say one piece of content a day, I want it to be like one really good piece of content, like 1,000 words or a podcast episode or a video or a webinar or something. So it's not just like, it's not a quantity goal. It's just doing a lot more of something at the same quality level.
I think the other thing is focusing on what we're good at as well. So we both love writing. Once we get in flow and once we like really start smashing something out, that's when we feel like we're really being productive.
Yeah.
I feel like having like momentum, once again, is something that will carry us through that. So, if I get stuck on a post idea, I can ask you for some help. If you write something that's completely rubbish, I'll just tell you it is. And that's, I think, being able to bounce back and forward and have that accountability also helps that as well.
Yeah. From the content point of view, we're probably getting into the details of how we're going to hit these goals rather than actually talk about goal setting. But one thing I want to do is work out how we can get guest contributors as well. Like, we don't really have anything in place for that, and it seems like if we're going to have one piece of content every single day, it's going to be pretty close to impossible for us to actually do all of the content. So that's going to be an interesting thing. And that's a procedure thing as well. Like, in the past, I've had guest authors on the site, but it's just taken so much of my time. It's like, it's barely worth it. It's quicker for me to write a guide on something than it is for me to organize a guest to come and do it and go through 7 or 8 people before you get a decent piece of content. And so we're going to need some sort of processes around that. I don't really know what that is, but maybe we need I did a podcast with Laura Roeder about how she manages her guest authors, and it seems like it's all very organized. Like, there's a calendar, and there's like guests. She's got regular contributors who want to post once every quarter, or I think it is, or 4 times a year, I think. And I don't think she's getting that much more traffic than we are. I think we're probably, our blogs are probably pretty appealing to people to write for now, because we're getting quite a bit of traffic. But it's just a matter of whether we can have those same sort of processes and get organized, and it doesn't just fall back on one person to try and manually organize like one writer.
Yeah. I think you've had a few nightmares with guest content as well. Like, some of the content, you'll say, hey, it sounds good if you want to try and put something together for us, and then someone will go ahead and write a post, and it'll be sort of like a thinly veiled sales pitch of whatever their product or service is.
Yeah. And maybe it's a thing, like, maybe I just need to get over the fact that we need to put some content on our site that isn't like really great, but I don't know. Yeah.
I don't think you will.
Yeah. Well, I think at least it needs to be original. It needs to have some purpose for existing. It can't just be some rehash thing that exists somewhere else. Otherwise, there's not really any point. Anyway, so we've talked about processes. I guess our processes come down to how we can make Trello easier, because pretty much everything in our business falls back to Trello. Like, if we have a goal to get more content done, then there needs to be a task in Trello in both of our lists to make sure that it's actually in our list of things to do. Otherwise, it won't get done. So we've been experimenting with trying to work out like how to set up repeating tasks. So like for this podcast, we'll need every Monday we'll need to work out what topic we're going to talk about or whatever. So we need like repeating tasks in there for that. And work out how it works with like Google Calendar. We kind of use that at the moment, but it's messy. So I guess we need to work that stuff out. If people are listening, I put something up on Facebook yesterday about that. There were a few ideas, but it didn't seem like there was really that many good suggestions for that. So if people are listening and they know like a really good way to do it, like a lot of the suggestions seem to be to use something other than Trello, which we don't really do.
You're talking about setting recurring tasks, yeah?
Yeah, and just having that as like a manageable thing for the whole team. So like we can easily do it in the calendar, or like I used to use the reminders app on my computer, but that just doesn't work when you got a team of like 6 people.
Hmm.
So anyway, I guess we're looking for tips around that. And yeah, I mean, if other people are listening to this and you've got goals for 2014, would be interested in hearing about how you're going through the process and how you're avoiding just coming up with a bunch of goals that are going to disappear after a month and you'll forget about, and whether or not you're using some of the ideas we're using, like the moving goals and having a few fixed goals but not complicating them too much, and then spending more time on processes to make sure that those goals become a reality rather than focusing so much on the goals. That's probably about it.
Yeah, I think just one thing to add, if people want to find out more about using systems over just like focusing on a New Year's resolution or goals, there's a guy, his name's Scott Adams, and he was the guy that was the Dilbert cartoon creator.
Okay.
And his approach to achieving things is not to set really rigid, specific goals. He just has a system, and he's like, okay, this is what I need to do. This is how I need to do it. And if I do enough good work, then good things are going to come.
Yeah.
To make multi-million dollars off the back of squiggling a few cartoons out, I think the proof is there.
Yeah, I think like writers do that as well. They'll just schedule, I don't know, an hour or two a day where they like have to write something even if they've got nothing to write about, and they're just.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to Stephen Pressfield on Joe Rogan the other day. I love that guy. I'm in love with that Joe Rogan guy. He's cool. But yeah, it was a cool episode, and he was just like he doesn't really know when that inspiration is going to come, so he makes sure that he's writing at least like pretty much every day.
Yeah, Nathan Barry does the same thing. He's got the thousand words a day and the Commit app where he has his daisy chain where he wants to tick it off every day.
What's that one? Is that like an iPhone app or something? Or
yeah, it's an app that I just started reading the Authority book,
yeah.
And it's an app that he develops to track his progress and make sure that he's like, it's sort of like when you start putting X's on a calendar and you get that nice pattern going, and you don't want to break that pattern and you don't want to lose momentum. So
that's interesting.
I think he did it I think he's still going, but I know that he clocked up a year, so he did 365 days in a row at 1,000 words.
That's pretty good going. So I was thinking we need to do something the same with our content. Is like how do we just make sure that 1 hour of every single day we spend writing something? I guess we just put a reminder in the calendar and just block out like an hour after lunch or something, and just make sure we write something.
I think having a sense of urgency is going to help us push this stuff out, because I know that I know that we need to get this monthly report out, and in past months we've waited 2 weeks, 3 weeks sometimes to get this out, and we'll go back and tweak it and refine it. But this will force us to just continue to shit posts, because we can't make it perfect. You
can't fall behind. The other thing I think we could probably do to get more content out is to do some kind of event-based stuff. Like we've talked about doing like some kind of crazy 24-hour thing where we interview like a different person every hour for 24 hours and just like come up with 24 solid bits of content in one day. Like that kind of stuff, if we can do that, I think, or like some kind of event or something, I think that will definitely help.
Yeah. I think the thing to be aware of with the 24-hour events is the actual like the viewership and the interest that you get from people. So they did that with Word Sesh.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they only had around 3,000 viewers in total, which with that many people telling their audience about it, I don't know if that like maybe my numbers are off, but I don't know if that method has really been tried and proven. So
yeah, but I mean that content. Sorry, the people who are watching this on video will see it just popped up on my screen. My battery's about to run out. I'm obviously plugged into something that's not turned on, but anyway, let's see how far we get. Yeah, I mean that content, you never know how useful that content's going to be. Like there'll be gems in there. Like every single audio session could be made into a podcast. Every single video session could be made into YouTube video. You could get a graphic designer to make some of the content into an infographic, and like that kind of content can create so much more than just what happens when it's live. So I think if you think about that in advance, then I mean they could sell that as an info product. They might sell more versions of that than the people who actually turned up live. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say.
Speaking of info products and writing a lot, we're starting to come up with an idea for a book, right? Is that something we can talk about?
Yeah. Well, the other thing that will be good about that is like, if we can approach it, if we can say, okay, we're writing a book about this, then we can start putting out a lot of content around that topic on the blog and just start kind of putting out, not chapters, but like putting out the ideas as blog posts and getting feedback from people and working out what's kind of going well. And so that's going to be more content as well. But yeah, I mean, I've never wanted to write a book because I don't really read books, but I'm trying to get better at that now. And I kind of think it would be a cool thing to do. Like, it kind of feels like an authority thing, and maybe we can actually produce something that will have a bigger impact on people than a couple of blog posts. So yeah.
I'm excited about the book. I'm working away on ideas over here, and have a few beers and start to feel the flow.
Feel the love. That sounds good. Well, maybe we can do a show around that when we find out the topic we're doing. The other thing I was going to say just quickly about the processes for like the amount of content is, we've talked to Shramko a few times about like how he gets ideas, and one of his things, we did a call with him for Content Club a week before Christmas or something. Oh, actually, it was a bit more than that. But like one of his things was like, have the ideas come to you. So like we talked about having like a giant list of keywords, like do a bunch of keyword research and have that in Trello as an idea. So when it comes to that time of writing a task, we've at least got that. We've got a board in Trello where every time we come up with an idea, we add that idea into Trello, so that we've got that as well. And I think we need to set up more things like that. Like maybe we need Google Alerts, or maybe we need maybe we need one of the developers to go through the list of support tasks that have come through and summarize the top 10 queries and just automatically put that into Trello for an idea for us to write about, and just have like that central area of ideas and make sure that's always full. So when we do spend that hour working on a post, we've got lots and lots of things. We don't have to spend any of that time generating ideas. We just pick an idea and spend it on productive work. Yeah.
Automating that process sounds like, I think a lot of people fall behind because they're like, hey, I don't really know what to write about. But if you've got those systems set up to take care of that for you, then you've got one less excuse to get started. So
yeah, I've never really had that much of a problem with like ideas, but I think if we're going to be doing one piece of content a day, then we're going to have to be a bit more organized, because we're going to use up all of our good ideas pretty quickly. All right, man. I better get off this because I think my battery's about to run out.
All right. Well, I'm going to start writing. Well, I'm going to finish writing this monthly report and then get it across to you for some numbers.
Sweet. All right. So if people are listening, this is episode 48. Just go to wpcurve.com/48 and jump on there and tell us what your goals are for 2014, how you're approaching goal setting, and we'll set up the links to the people we've mentioned in the show as well. And we'll see you guys next week.